At UFC 316 in Newark, New Jersey, the bantamweight king Merab Dvalishvili picked up his 13th straight victory. It's a phenomenal run that has people talking about whether or not he's the greatest to ever do it at 135. I know for a fact the greatest to ever do it is Ray Longo. He joins me now here on Extra Rounds to recap 316 in all its glory. And glory it was for you and Merab.
I tell you what, man, I think this kid is something special. There's an old saying in boxing: to be great, you got to beat a guy that beat you.
Right.
And Sean had his chance, and he couldn't do it. And I think that's a big opportunity lost for him. But Marab was just too much. I mean, I think, I don't know. He's just special.
Yeah.
He really is. And if you can't outwork him, you're probably not going to beat him.
And there's not many men on this planet that can outwork the machine. And we saw that. And that's what's really interesting about him. Like, he continues to get better, Ray. Like, it was a dominant performance. A north-south choke, I can't remember the last time I even saw a north-south choke in mixed martial arts. And to come back and win that, like, it felt really weird after I thought Merab dominantly took that decision last year, and
No.
a couple days later, you saw O'Malley get on Twitter and like make the argument that he won, and it was very strange. And he was different, Ray. A lot of people talked about Sean this fight giving up things and being more focused. It just didn't go his way on Saturday. But talk about that a little bit, because when a fighter does come up short, especially in a championship fight, they start to maybe reevaluate things and you go back to the drawing board. But some people maybe get too aggressive with that change. What do you think is going through Sean O'Malley's mind?
Yeah, I think you hit on something. I don't know about too aggressive, but you start thinking that working out with Israel Adesanya is going to
Right.
help you. It's just not. It's just not in the equation, man. I mean, I'm going to tell you. So we discussed it in the corner too. I said, I mean, last fight going into that fifth round, everybody in that corner thought it was a lock. I mean,
Right.
if he would have lost that fight, that would have been bizarre to me, because I
Yeah.
had him. I never thought he was in danger. I always thought he was controlling everything. I had him 4-0 going into the fifth. So I think these guys went back and looked at it, and instead of doing the right thing, they started looking for other ways, right?
Yep.
And then I think they looked at the fight, like based on what he's saying, I thought, well, if I could have just maybe jabbed him for another 40 seconds in that round, I would have won. I think they were
Right.
looking for a way to scum out a victory. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah. In that case, Ray, I think they're trying to win an argument and not a fight.
yes, 100%. Because to win a fight, man, you better have trained right. And I don't think it was. I think you're looking at, when you start saying, I'm going to stop doing this, I'm going to stop doing that, putting your father in the corner. I mean, I think you're trying like old good luck charms. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
working with Izzy, I'm working with Demetrius Johnson. I don't know, man. That stuff, unless it's a specific problem you identified in the fight and found somebody to help you, it just was the wrong approach.
That's why I say I think sometimes they get too aggressive with trying to find things, because
Yeah.
you're a former world champion. You got there, you earned it, you deserved it, and
Right.
you're truly one of the best. I
Yes.
don't know if any of those things make you better.
Yes. 100. Listen, the other thing, and trust me, I'm a guy that's been there a lot. As soon as you lose, TJ, there's a bunch of fucking wannabes just waiting to jump in there, tell you why you lost,
Yeah.
torture you, you should do this. So you actually get mentally tortured. I don't know if that played into anything he was doing, but that's the time it happens. Not when you're winning. Even though there
Right.
are some guys that are so narcissistic, as you're winning, they'll convince you to do something else. But this is a case where I think he probably listened to like 50 different people, it looks like.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about personalities in
Yes.
mixed martial arts, and I think you as a coach, obviously you train technique and come up with strategy, but you have to sort of foster and manage that personality on a case to
Yes.
case basis.
Oh,
Mara-
major,
yeah,
TJ.
Marab's personality seems to be so endearing and charming, and I honestly, if you don't like Merab Dvalishvili, I don't know what you're looking at, because he's just a likable guy.
Listen, he's a friend's dream, he's a coach's dream. and he should be a promoter's dream because he's going to fight. You know what I mean? He's the
Yeah.
guy you want. Does he do some crazy antics? Yeah, but it all builds into his character, though. That's who he is, and
Yep.
you got to accept that. You know what I mean? But uh, you're not the guy. The guy's really special. He's a special person. I can't say it. And Marab's gonna do what Marab's gonna do.
Yeah.
That's what he does. You know, I ask how's it? No, he's gonna do what he does. They ask me who's gonna win. I go, he's gonna do what he does. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, and the more fights he wins, the more confidence he gets, the better he gets, more
Yeah.
experience he gets. You've built a monster, man. I said it the other day. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. They tried to kill this guy with the list of killers they gave him. He passed all those tests. Now they're stuck with a guy who's got confidence through the roof. Whereas
Right.
you got O'Malley, who has to go back and go, you know what? I didn't fight the best guys. Maybe, he starts buying into that. Look at the guys they gave him, then the rematch with Cheeto. And
Yeah.
who do you ever fight? That's really what it comes down to. Now you got to fight somebody for real. You need that flight time, TJ. You need that flight time. Like, my guys coming up in the ring of combat, I always made him take tough fights. I want to know now. I don't want to find
Yeah.
out later. And I think with him, the UFC tried to promote this guy. He definitely had O'Malley privilege. There's no question about it. Aljo didn't get a rematch. Why did O'Malley get a rematch with Marab? You know what I mean? Like, you look at all this stuff, and now it adds up. This is what happens. You got a foundation built on dirt at this point. But with that said, I want to criticize because I do like O'Malley, and I do think he is really good. But he needed different competition to really bring him to another level.
And there's still time for that, but I think you hit on something that is very true. The last thing you want to do is have your first real tough fight in the UFC's octagon.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing to do,
Without a
you
doubt.
need,
And again, they saw that they wanted to get that guy. Like, they thought they were doing him a favor by getting him back in there quick after surgery. I think it was a
yeah.
really bad mistake. I think he should have taken more time off, taken a tune-up fight. He would have been better off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a real argument to be made there. Now, let's talk about Marab because he's the champion. People are talking about GOAT status. And what's most impressive in all of that is as the champion, he's still looking like he's improving. He hasn't
Yeah.
hit his ceiling. And I don't know. I don't want to, project what his whole title reign looks like. But, man, it's got to be exciting for you to watch this guy dominate, defend, and still look like he's developing new problems for new opponents.
Absolutely, man. And he leads a clean life. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink. He made that very obviously with O'Malley years ago. You keep smoking, I'll keep training. And that's the
Right.
way it goes, man. So yeah, he's only going to get better and more. It's really confidence I see more than anything, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And he trains his ass off, so he's always going
Well,
to have that. Look, he's 34. To me, like, he's going to go. He's got another 2-3 years easy.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he's
I mean,
he's
there's an argument to be made that some fighters come into their prime in their mid-30s. We've seen that before. A lot of people
I,
think youth is everything, but there's some guys that get to their early to mid-30s that all of a sudden become a more complete fighter than they ever were.
I think more for the heavier weights. The lighter weight guys
True.
normally burn out a little quicker, but I don't see
Yeah.
it with him. And even Aljo. Aljo looks great.
Yeah.
He's going to be 36, I think.
I think that was a storyline that was almost buried a little bit. The friendship between Aljo and Marab, it was tested.
Yeah.
And they maintained their stance, and there was something really sort of sweet if you were paying attention when Marab gets the win over the guy that beat Aljo. It's the second victory, and he's right there. I mean, there aren't. It's an individual fight, but man, that had to feel like a team victory.
Yeah, look, man. Without Aljo, there probably is no Marab. You know what I mean? Like, Aljo really took him under his wing years ago with the wrestling, and that's really what changed a lot of stuff in Marab. Because at the beginning, man, he lost a fight due to wrestling. He got stuck in a mount one fight, so he kept it. He was an example of win or learn. If he didn't win, he learned and he made those corrections. He made them at the right time. Even though he lost his first two in the UFC, I thought he won both fights 100%. So I got him at 15-0 technically. So how do you stop that guy? Well, I'm going to call it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a problem for anyone that is going to be standing in his way. And the progression, it's fun to watch. And yeah, like I said, he's a problem for anybody at 135, and that's why he's the undisputed champ. Ray Longo, I appreciate you more than you'll ever know, and we'll let you go on your way.
All right, thank you very much. If you want to recap anything later, man, I'm ready to go.
All right, while Ray Longo gets out of here, I'm going to remind you that DraftKings Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of the UFC. New customers right now, you can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Just sign up today. Use the promo code FIGhtPass and get in on the deal. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown, it's yours. All right, let's do this. Let's take a look at the closing odds, courtesy of DraftKings. You saw the champ reign supreme, Dvalishvili, a rightful favorite at minus 285. Sean O'Malley not able to do it at plus 230. Who was able to do it, though, it is and new. Kayla Harrison takes the belt away from the former bantamweight queen and Juliana Pena. Pena, a very sizable underdog on fight night. Kayla Harrison coming in at minus 750. Let's be honest. She looked like a minus 750. All right, that pretty much does it for us. Again, thank you to Ray Longo, and thank you to you. Yeah, and thank our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. We like them. All right, that does it. I'm TJ DeSantis. This has been Extra Rounds on UFC Fight Pass.